Hi folks, welcome back. Thank you for watching. Please do hit subscribe if you haven't done so yet. It really does help when you do that. So today folks, I've got a phenomenal reverb pedal to show you. Now, as regulars around here will know, I'm an all analog guy. I don't use digital effects whatsoever. I like to keep things very traditional. And whenever I build one of my massive pedal boards, which I tend to do at the start of every year, I have used a few analog reverb pedals, which are basically pedals with actual mechanical spring tanks in them. I've got such a tank right here. And I've used a few of them, I like them all, but they have had shortcomings that have kind of grated on me a little bit over time. But I've recently taken delivery of this. This is the Surfybear Metal. Now, firstly, I don't think this thing even classes as a pedal because, as you can see, it's absolutely enormous. But this was designed to be a solid state version of the old Fender 6G15 reverb unit. And as the name somewhat unsubtly suggests, this is very much aimed at the surf crowd. Now, I will hold my hands up from the start. I'm not a surfer when it comes to playing guitar. I can't play that stuff to save my life. And there's plenty of other videos on YouTube of these units doing the surf thing incredibly well. Today, I want to see whether this can function as a more normal spring reverb unit. Can it do a more tasteful drop shadow effect? Can it add some nice analog spring tails to sort of normal playing? But before we get into all of that, this pedal here is fundamentally exactly the same as the flagship Surfybear Classic, but it has a few changes that I think make this thing even better. It's certainly more suited to me. So firstly, the Classic is in a wooden enclosure and is quite bulky. This is in a much flatter metal enclosure, so it's much more suited for use on pedal boards, and it's just a bit more hard wearing, so I prefer that about it from the start. But most importantly, this metal version is true bypass, which the original Classics aren't. Now, when you patch through one of those classic units, because it's not true bypass, even when you turn the spring effect off, you do get a little bit of level drop, which if you're running through it all the time isn't really a problem. You just turn your amp up a tiny bit and happy days. But with this being true bypass, if you were to turn it on, you would find you got a level drop when you engaged the effect. So they've included this volume knob here, so you can bring the pedal back up to unity and even boost it a little bit should you want to. So it's harder wearing, it's got a level control, and it's true bypass. So for me, it's much more suited to the modern day guitarist. But before I get into the extended playing today, I wanted to have a talk about the spring tanks that have been used in this pedal over the years. Now, ever since it was designed until very recently, they used these, which are the standard sort of flagship Accutronics 4AB3C1B units, which is a bit of a mouthful. And they sound great, but what Surfy Industries found was they didn't absolutely nail the sound of the old school Fender 6G15. So they went to Accutronics and they've designed their own spring tank, apparently using upgraded materials. They look identical to me, so I don't know where those materials are, but apparently they use higher quality stuff. And they apparently nail the Fender sound much more closely. And that tank has become known as the Surfy Pan. So today, first and foremost, I wanted to compare the stock Accutronics tank that lots of these pedals have in them to the Surfy Pan to see whether it's a worthy upgrade. Now, I don't have one of the original Fender units here to compare the Surfy Pan to. There are videos of people doing that on YouTube, and it does seem like it nails the sound slightly better than the stock Accutronics. But I just want to see what the fundamental similarities and differences are between these two tanks. If you have a Surfybear Metal or Classic with the stock Accutronics tank in, should you pay the €45 or whatever it is for the upgrade to the Surfy Pan? So let's have a look at that now. So swapping the reverb tanks in these pedals is incredibly easy. You just unscrew the 4 screws on the back plate, pop it off, slide the reverb tank out and undo the RCA jacks. You can then plug the RCA jacks into the new tank, slot it in place, remove the foam that stops the springs rattling around in transit, and put the back plate back on. So it is a 90-second job, if that. So let's have a quick look at what the differences and similarities are between the stock Accutronics tank and the brand new Surfy Pan. So there's definitely differences there, right? Now, the two things that were really jumping out to me. Firstly, I think the Surfy Pan is a slightly more obvious effect with everything set the same. Now, that's nothing to really write home about, because with the stock Accutronics tank, you can just turn the mix up a tiny bit and compensate for that. But the really big difference, I think, is the length of the decay on the reverb tails. It's much shorter with the Surfy Pan, and for that alone, I prefer the Surfy Pan, because it means you can set the effect really obvious and do the drippy Dick Dale thing if you want to. But when you're playing extended lines, it doesn't get too messy. It doesn't become too soundscapey and ambient with a huge wash of reverb. It cuts off quicker. So I much prefer the Surfy tank for that. Now, as I said, I don't have the original Fender unit here to compare it to. There are videos of people doing that on YouTube, but it seems to be that the Surfy Pan is the way to go if you're trying to absolutely nail the sound of those old Fender units specifically. So I'm going to leave the Surfy Pan in this pedal and now do some extended playing. So I'll do some clean playing and a little bit of gainy playing with a fuzz, just to show you how it interacts with gain, and see what amazing sounds we can coax out of this enormous pedal. So without further ado, folks, here we go. So there we are, folks. Now please do comment underneath, let me know what you thought of the Surfybear metal today. I love chatting nerdy guitar stuff with you folks down in the comments section. This thing just sounds wonderful, doesn't it? And it absolutely nails that old school Fender reverb sound. Now, as I said, the surfy stuff is not my forte at all. I tried my best in a couple of places. It definitely does that drippy, surfy thing better than anything I've ever heard. But even as just a sort of slightly more tasteful, normal reverb effect, it is astonishingly good. And my favourite thing about it is just how quiet it is. That's been a real drawback of the other spring reverb pedals I've used. Into just a loud amp, or especially an amp that's breaking up, the white noise that you get from having an analog reverb spring tank is kind of too much to be usable. No such problems with this. It's incredibly quiet. You can run this into a gainy amp, no problem at all. So that alone is worth the price of admission. But those are just my thoughts, folks. Let me know yours in the comment section. I love getting your opinions on all this sort of stuff. So thank you ever so much for watching. I hope this video was interesting and useful for you. Please do carry on subscribing. I know I always say it, but it makes a huge difference when you hit subscribe. And I will see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.